ඔෆිස් එකේදී විතරක් නෙවෙයි මම දැන් ගෙදරදිත් IDD කෝල්ස් ගන්නේ SLT ෆෝන් එකේ.
ඔබේ නිවසේ SLT දුරකථනය දැන් IDD පහසුකම සහිතයි.
Good evening tonight. Decision pending. Sri Lanka Freedom Party continues to debate on vacating the government. 16 faction says will sit in the opposition.
Will definitely sit in the opposition.
There was no such decision or a proposal made.
New at the helm. UNP Politburo decides to appoint Akila Viraj Karyavasam as the General Secretary while Kabir Hashim is the new chairman. Down in the depths. The Sri Lankan Rupee hits a record low. How will this impact the country?
Sri Lankan exporters will have to pay higher prices.
Of course, a positive for the economy, assisting to control the level of imports.
From that, we might have a snowballing effect on the banking sector.
Abolishing the executive. JVP says the 20th Amendment will be presented soon in Parliament, assures it will not pave way for a divided country.
Any provincial council cannot declare their independence. The president can stop that.
And tragedy in North America. The victims of the Toronto van attack identified, a Sri Lankan among the victims. It is 9 o'clock on the dot. Welcome to First at 9, Other Derana's premier English news coverage. Hello everyone, I'm Mahesh Johnny. The dollar hits an all-time low of 159 rupees. How will this impact the economy? We will have a full analysis later on in the show, but first we want to take you straight to Toronto. A Sri Lankan woman, a mother of one, is among the 10 victims killed in the deadly attack that saw a white van plough into pedestrians on Toronto's BC Yonge Street on Monday. 48-year-old Renuka Ambarsinghe, who is from the town of Horana and has been living in Toronto for the past couple of years, has been identified as one of the victims.
It has come to light that a Sri Lankan woman, 48-year-old Renuka Amarasinghe, was among the 10 people killed in Toronto, Canada, and a man ploughed a rental van into pedestrians on a crowded Toronto sidewalk. 10 people were killed and 15 others were injured after a 25-year-old appeared to deliberately mow down pedestrians in Toronto on Monday. The suspect, Alec Manassian, was later charged on 10 counts of murder and 13 counts of attempted murder. The deceased was a single mother of a 7-year-old boy. Chief Priest Venerable Kanakaratnam told Other Derana she has been continuously involved with the Toronto Mahavihara Buddhist Centre for the past 15 years. According to the Thera, the bodies of the deceased have not been released as they haven't been identified yet. The Daiga Council of the temple has discussed to hold the final rites of the deceased Sri Lankan woman in Canada as she had received citizenship. The Thera went on to say that the temple will do the best they can for the deceased woman's child and his future. In addition, a Jordanian man visiting relatives, a college student, an 80-year-old grandmother and 2 South Korean nationals were among those who died in the incident. Ontario's chief coroner said it would take days for the names of the 10 deceased to be officially released, noting his office wanted to be careful to get things right. Officials are currently working with police to contact family and friends of those they believe are deceased and obtaining dental records, fingerprints and DNA.
Recording of evidence for the special commission appointed to look into fraud and corruption on Sri Lankan Airlines will begin their duties within the next 2 weeks. This was revealed by President Maithripala Sirisena during a discussion held with representatives of trade unions affiliated to the airline at the Presidential Secretariat in Colombo today.
During discussions with trade unions, the head of state stressed on the need for continuing the operations of the Sri Lankan as a quality airline to safeguard its international recognition. 5 of the 6 trade unions were represented at the discussion. It mainly focused on issues faced by the national carrier at present. President Sirisena emphasized the need to improve the services of the Sri Lankan Airlines so that a quality service is provided to passengers who opt to fly on the state carrier.
Sri Lankan ගුවන් සේවයේ පවතින
I appointed a special commission to investigate irregularities and issues pertaining to Sri Lankan Airlines. They are tasked to engage with relevant officials and trade unions and to make necessary recommendations as to how we can sort current issues. In 2 weeks' time, I will summon them to begin work by recording statements from relevant people.
සාක්ෂි සටහන් කර ගැනීම.
The meeting, all unions assured their support to President to safeguard this national carrier.
Conflicting views has been expressed by members of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party following last night's Central Committee meeting on the future course of action by the party. Former Minister Dilan Perera says that the President did provide them with permission to sit in the opposition when the Parliament convenes. Minister Mahinda Samarasinha refutes that claim.
To determine the future political course of action, members of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party held several meetings yesterday with the President. The first meeting took place soon after the cabinet meeting, which was led by the 8 cabinet ministers of the SLFP at the Presidential Secretariat. Afterwards, the 16 members who voted in favour of the no-confidence motion held their discussion with the President at the President's official residence. At 7 in the evening, the entire parliamentary group of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party met at the President's official residence. Here, they discussed about issues ranging from May Day celebrations to party reforms. Following this meeting, the Central Committee of the SLFP began their discussions. As they failed to reach a final decision on party reforms, it was decided to be taken on a future Central Committee meeting scheduled for the 15th of next month. Speaking to First at 9, former Minister Dilan Perera said that a decision was taken and the President provided them with permission to sit in the opposition when the Parliament convenes on the 8th of May.
Well, on the 8th of May, when the Parliament convenes, the 16 members of the SLFP who voted for the no confidence motion against the Prime Minister will definitely sit in the opposition. We will sit in the opposition and continue to be the SLFP group in the opposition. We will not new party headed by Honorable G.L. Piris. We will sit in the opposition as SLFPers and we will invite our SLFP friends who were forced to go and support the new party because there was no proper SLFP in the opposition. Now they can come back to the opposition and join the 16 members who will be in the opposition and we will be the real SLFP.
However, during a media briefing at SLFP headquarters, Minister Mahinda Samarasinha said that no such decision or agreement was made during the Central Committee meeting.
No, there was no such decision or proposal made, but they met with the President, as I mentioned, at 5 p.m. They may have told the President to allow them. I saw today also that there was a statement made by one of them that they will sit in the opposition. I don't know. I can't answer for them. They will have to take that decision and then implement it. No, that was not discussed. That was not discussed. On the 8th, when Parliament convenes, all of you can see who sits where.
The Politburo of the United National Party made new appointments to the top positions of the party this evening. Minister Akila Viraj Karyavasam was appointed General Secretary, while Minister Kabir Hashim will be the new chairman of the party. While Minister Sajith Premadasa and former Minister Ravi Karunanayake retained their previous positions, Minister Navin Dissanayake was appointed National Organizer, while Minister Dr. Harsha De Silva was appointed Treasurer of the party. The decision on the new appointments was taken when the Committee on Party Reforms met at Temple Trees this evening. Meanwhile, earlier today, backbenchers of the United National Party met the Prime Minister and expressed their views on the party reforms.
The backbenchers of the United National Party met with the party leader Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe to present their suggestions on the party reforms. Following the discussions, they spoke to media.
We requested to appoint the leaders by a vote. If they will appoint the leaders by any other means, we will have to take tough political decisions. People have got nothing during the last 3 years. We met the Prime Minister to discuss about reforms that will benefit the people. I brought up the suggestion that the leaders of the party should be elected by a vote. The leader pointed out the necessity for an amendment of the constitution of the party for that. We hope he will execute, and if not, I think there will be issues in the party.
Meanwhile, the committee to take a final decision on the party reforms met at Temple Trees this evening. During the session, the Politburo of the United National Party appointed new office bearers of the party. Education Minister Akila Viraj Karyavasam was appointed as the party's new General Secretary. He was formerly the Deputy General Secretary. Higher Education and Highways Minister Kabir Hashim, who previously held the post of General Secretary before resigning this month, was named the new chairman of the party. Plantation Industries Minister Navin Dissanayake was appointed the UMP's national organizer, while Minister of National Policies and Economic Affairs Dr. Harsha De Silva as the party treasurer. However, the rest of the office bearer positions remain unchanged. Thereby, Housing Minister Sajith Premadasa will continue as Deputy Leader and Foreign Minister Ravi Karunanayake remains as the Assistant Leader of the UMP.
The Janata Vimukti Peramuna said they intend presenting the 20th Amendment to the Constitution by way of a private member's bill at the beginning of May. JVP leader Anrukumara Dissanayake and the party's propaganda secretary, parliamentarian Vijit Herath, speaking to the media today, said the amendment will not make any changes on the 13th Amendment to the Constitution. The amendment, which seeks to abolish powers of the executive presidency, is expected to come into effect at the end of the term of the incumbent president.
There are so many rumors among the people about the 20th Amendment. Those are false. According to the 20th Amendment, this present president will continue his all powers until 8th of 2020. After his period, the 20th Amendment will be functioned. The new president has some powers. He is the head of the state, and the Prime Minister will be the head of the government. We have not changed any powers of 13th Amendment, bringing this 20th Amendment. People must not fear the country will be divided. The president who had powers in the past, all powers are in the 20th Amendment according to the 13th Amendment. Therefore, any provincial council cannot declare their independence. The president can stop that. Therefore, bringing the 20th Amendment is not pave the way to divide the country. We want to bring real democracy to the country. That's why we are planning to bring that 20th Amendment. It is basically based on the democracy of our country.
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa is of the view that a general election is the only solution that would solve the current political instability prevailing in the country. The former head of state elaborated that if a solution by the government is not forthcoming, this would push the country towards anarchy.
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa attended the funeral of the mother of former parliamentarian and JVP Politburo member K.D. Lalkantha at their family residence in Kurundakulama, Anuradhapura. Afterwards, the former president arrived at the residence of parliamentarian S.M. Chandrasena. Here he spoke to the media about abolishing the executive presidency.
They first need to present it. We cannot speak about it without it being presented. There are various views among members. What I will do is consider all of them and arrive at a final decision that we all can agree on. Look at the dollar rate today. It's around 159 rupees. All prices are skyrocketing. There is no proper administration within this country. The instability of this country is affecting everything. Anyone can easily sell government assets, like how you can auction items of your own home. I think the only solution is to go for a general election. Looking at the issues faced by both SLFP and UNP, I don't think they can proceed together governing this country.
Director General of the Public Utility Commission, Damitha Kumarasinghe, has revealed plans to use generators owned by the government and government-owned entities in case of national power emergencies. He revealed this at a media briefing held in Colombo to speak about the future expectations of the Commission. Speaking further, he said that according to the plan, 150 megawatt government-owned generators will be considered to be utilized at emergency situations.
There's another important aspect that we are embarking on to is the emergency preparedness plan for these utility sectors. We are also in the process of preparing a policy for energy security. The other one is the the usage of generators owned by the government and government-owned entities in case of emergencies. We are looking at the possibility there are more than 150 megawatts of government-owned generators in various government institutions. What I'm saying is emergency situations, then also night peak. In case of transmission or distribution constraints, so you might find it difficult to transfer from somewhere to somewhere. But if you have a generator on the other side, you can use it. So this is very flexible system that we are looking at. So let's see how it moves. We will be probably within next week or so, we will be giving this advice. CB has also agreed on this. We have had discussions with all the relevant parties, like the people who owns these generators, government institutions, as well as CB and LECO both. You cannot run these generators for 24 hours, but you can use it whenever you need, for about 4 hours, 2 hours, 3 hours. That's where the requirement is now. මේ තියෙන ප්ලෑන්ස් ටික ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න විදුලි බලාපොරොත්තුවක් එන්නේ හිතුවන්නේ.
Dr. Kanakaratnam Thavalingam, chairman of the Delimitation Commission, says that when the new electoral system was introduced, it was appreciated by everyone, but just after the local authorities election, everyone began to criticize it. Dr. Thavalingam made these remarks today addressing an open forum held in Colombo to discuss about the current electoral process ahead of the provincial council elections.
People's Action for Free and Fair Elections and Centre for Monitoring Election Violence had organised an open forum under the theme of stakeholder discussions on the current electoral process. All political parties representing the Parliament, the Election Commission, intellectuals from the universities and social activists from several other fields have been invited for the discussion.
We hope that with these discussions we can come up with some sort of proposals, and also after this consultation meeting we are planning to appoint the committee with some expert group, and within a very short period we are thinking to have a couple of discussions with the political party, parliamentarians, again the provincial councillors, and also the academic, those who have some idea, opinion about the electoral system. And we are going to analyze all the issues, all proposals coming from the public and the expert team. And finally we are prepared to submit maybe three or four proposals to the parliamentarian, where they can decide which one is the best system for the Sri Lanka, and especially which one will be the best system for the upcoming provincial system.
At least on the day of election, every one of us said we have introduced a good system for Sri Lanka, that is mixed system. Even on the day of election, Prime Minister said we have introduced a good system for the general public. At that time, opposition leader said, no, this is not introduced by Prime Minister, it is introduced by us. That was happened after the election, when the results came, when they tried to form the Rajya Sabha, then only they said it's a bad system. But this is. So before the election it's a good system, after the election it's a bad system. So everything is happened while getting the experience.
To finish my speech, I will present you a part from the interim report by Minister Rauf Hakeem and Deputy Minister Muthu Sivalingam, which they talk about MP Dinesh Gunawardana's report over electoral reforms. The topic is abolishing the preferential vote system. This system allows the voter to select its representative, and that is the most democratic sign in the system. It is more than a party introducing a candidate for the voter. And this is the most important sentence there. What we should rehabilitate is not the system, but the politicians who ask for the preferential system.
Now here's a look at some other stories from across Sri Lanka.
The investigation unit of the Fisheries and Aquatic Resources Development Ministry, with the assistance of the police and the Special Task Force personnel, conducted a raid at the Paligoda Central Fish Market Complex this morning. 5 persons, along with over 5,000 kilograms of fish caught using banned methods, were seized during the raid. The farmers of Uvavallasa have been severely inconvenienced due to the lack of proper prices for their pumpkin harvests. These farmers, who spend hundreds of thousands of rupees to cultivate an acre of pumpkin, are now in dire straits because they do not have a good price for their harvest. The Colombo Municipal Council, in collaboration with the Ministry of Buddha Sasana, organised an arms gathering parade to commemorate the 2562nd anniversary of the Buddha Sasana. The Sangha, who participated in the arms gathering parade, arrived at the Colombo Municipal Council, where they were offered arms under the auspices of the Mayoress of Colombo, Rosie Senanaika.
Watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Derana 24/7.
On to business news now. The Cabinet has approved the proposal brought by the Minister of Petroleum Resources Development to purchase crude oil under long-term contracts for keeping continuous process of refining at the Sapugaskanda oil refinery of Ceylon Petroleum Corporation. The proposal of Minister Arjuna Ranathunga to award the contract of purchasing 7 million Melbourne crude oil for the period of 8 months from the 1st of April 2018 towards MS Swiss Singapore Overseas Enterprises Limited was approved by the Cabinet upon the recommendation of the Cabinet-appointed Standing Procurement Committee. As of now, the cost of a barrel of crude oil is purchased at a premium price of $1.69. The Sri Lankan rupee slipped to an all-time low of 159 rupees per dollar today for a third straight session. Dealers said the Sri Lankan rupee was pressured by persistent imported dollar demand. The rupee has fallen 0.64% so far this week and 1.2% for the month. Meanwhile, JVP member says that the cause of the depreciation of rupee is due to the government's lack of economic principle. They made this remark at a media briefing held in Colombo today.
The Sri Lankan rupee continued to extend a record low against the US dollar in early trading today to 159 rupees and 40 cents on the dollar, beyond the previous all-time low of 157 rupees and 30 cents hit yesterday. In 2016, the rupee dropped 3.9%, while last year it experienced a drop of 2.5%. However, in 2018, the currency has weakened 2.3% thus far. Dealers said they expect the rupee to gradually weaken and face higher volatility this year due to debt repayments by the government.
With April being the festive season, usually there is a high level of imports during the month, which could be the cause of it. The weakening of the rupee is of course a positive for the economy, assisting to control the level of imports, specifically the consumer goods segment. Also, another downside is that Sri Lanka being a net importer in terms of trade, and it will significantly affect the consumer goods segment. And the depreciating of the rupee is likely to, because of that, affect inflation in the coming months.
Meanwhile, speaking to First at 9, CEO of the National Chamber of Exporters of Sri Lanka, Shiham Marika, said that the impact of the rupee depreciation will be felt across the export sector as well.
Now, there are some exporters who may think that they can get higher prices because of this, but that's not the case, because we all know, other than the agriculture product exports, almost all the other products depend on value addition, which means there is a lot of importing of raw materials. Therefore, Sri Lankan exporters will have to pay higher prices to get their raw materials to engage in value addition. On the other hand, if you take a exporting company, even the employees of these companies may have to engage in spending more money to buy their day-to-day stuff, which may require a company to look at salary adjustments.
One of the main reasons of the weakening Sri Lankan rupee was due to pressure by persistent imported dollar demand, and one of the industries which depends heavily on imports is the construction sector. The construction sector was the main driver of the 6.7% growth in industry-related activities last year. President of the Chamber of Construction Industry of Sri Lanka, Engineer Major Ranjit Gunatilaka, said that if the depreciation continues, the industry will face severe challenges.
If you take it from the raw material, quarry rock and sand is the only local item. Almost all the other items of the material are imported. Machinery equipment, 100% imported. Labor, of course, Sri Lanka, now small percentage is foreign labor. The way that it has been depreciated, if it is going to depreciate in the same way by after 6 months, you don't have a profit margin. If it is last for the next 6 months, the project is of 1 year, your overheads also not. But when you add all that to the cost and price competitive bid, this industry finds it very difficult to exist.
Meanwhile, other views were also expressed on the rupee depreciation.
On top of the rupee depreciation coming through, we'll also now find the fuel price adjustment coming through, which is also going to curtail expenditure and also transmit further cost increases into the transportation sector and also into the rail sector, which could result in contraction in demand. As a result of the contraction in demand, you will find companies' cash flows being under severe stress, and also from that we might have a snowballing effect on the banking sector.
This government has not real economic principle, and this government has not real program to develop our country. That is the reason for collapsing our economy. This government has begun 2nd of September in 2015. At that time, $1 equal to 131 rupees. Today, it has been increased 157. And if we consider the future, we have not any sign reducing the value of the dollar. They are talking and they are paying their time, their party internal matters, and they have some power problems.
Let's take you to the stock market now. Shares at the stock market edge higher today from their lowest close in more than 1 week as foreign buyers provided some support to the market amid continued political uncertainty. Foreign investors brought shares worth a net 315.9 million rupees, while they have been net sellers of 999.5 million rupees worth of equities so far this year. The Colombo Stock Index ended 0.26% firmer at 6,533.63. Now here is Achudan Sri Lankan from First Capital Holdings with a full report of the day's trading.
For today, market shifted on the upward volatile trend and closing at 6,534 points, gaining 17 points. Turnover closed on a 3-week high. Meanwhile, the volume dropped compared to the previous day. A net foreign inflow was recorded amidst with a low foreign participation. On the crossing board, Sambat Bank 790,000 shares traded at 320 with the 4 crossings, and John Keel's 200,000 shares traded at 164.50. Commercial Bank 210,000 shares traded at 136, and HNB voting 100,000 traded 241.
Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Derana 24/7.
French President Emmanuel Macron and US President Donald Trump have indicated they want to aim for a new deal to curb Iran's regional ambitions and ballistic missiles program that would run alongside the existing international nuclear pact. The French head of state speaking at a joint news conference today with Trump while on a state visit to Washington acknowledged a disagreement between them on the 2015 Iran deal, while Trump has criticized harshly and repeatedly threatened to ditch it.
US President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump hosted French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife Brigitte for a state dinner yesterday, the first since Trump took office last year. The dinner comes on the heels of a remarkably chummy visit for the two leaders. Macron, whose visit to Washington is aimed in part at urging Trump to stick with the 2015 accord, said the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action should be seen as the first pillar of a broader framework that would also restrict Iran's regional influence, its ballistic missiles and its nuclear activities post-2025 when the existing deal expires.
I mean, people know my views on the Iran deal. It was a terrible deal. It should have never, ever been made. We could have made a good deal or a reasonable deal. The Iran deal is a terrible deal. We paid $150 billion. We gave $1.8 billion in cash. That's actual cash. Barrels of cash. It's insane. It's ridiculous. It should have never been made. But we will be talking about it.
In sports, the Inter-School Rugby League is currently underway. Yesterday saw St. Thomas's College Mount Lavinia face their group rival St. Anthony's College. St. Thomas's went on to win the match 31-29.
In yet another match in the Inter-School Rugby League tournament, St. Thomas's College Mount Lavinia went up against St. Anthony's College Katugasthoda. St. Thomas's College Mount Lavinia clinched an astonishing victory in the hill capital Nittawela Stadium against their Group 1A rival St. Anthony's College yesterday. Heading into the game, both teams were already looking down the barrel after being relegated to the plate segment of the competition. However, St. Thomas's managed to finally get points on the board with a 31-29 win after leading 26-15 at half-time.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
A very good evening and welcome to Forecast First. Now, temperatures will range between 21 and 34 degrees Celsius over the course of the day. Now, you take the map, you can see that there will be a low pressure zone in the vicinity of Sri Lanka as well as high precipitation zones in the central region of the island over the next 24 hours. However, some thunder showers or wet weather can be expected in the northern region of the island, and thunder showers can be expected in the areas of Batiklo as well as Anuradhapura. However, if you take a look at moving downwards, some thunder showers can be expected in the cities of Colombo, Galle and Kandy. That is it from your weather center tonight. Up next is your City by City forecast.
And that is a part of your world tonight right here on Other Derana 24/7. I'm Mahesh Johnny. First at 9 will return tomorrow at the same time. Be sure to join us then. But before we end tonight's coverage, we'd like to take you to the National Zoological Gardens of Sri Lanka in Dehibala, considered to be one of the oldest zoos in Asia. Currently, the Dehibala Zoo houses 72 species of mammals, 65 species of birds, 31 species of reptiles. Thank you very much for joining us. Good night.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.